All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Terence Crawford, who directly responds to criticism about his fight with David Avancian and attempts to give clarity into why the Errol Spence Jr. fight fell apart. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Terence Crawford, who just gave an explanation of why the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight fell through, gave details that we've heard before, some new details, in an attempt to explain why he chose not to fight Errol Spence and to fight David Avancian on Black Prime. Before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you so much for your support. Okay, now I'm going to try my absolute best to be as non-judgmental as I possibly can in this video. I'm going to try. But I don't know how well it's going to go. I'm just going to tell you honestly, because I want to give people an opportunity to listen to what Terence Crawford had to say. But at the same time, I have to tell you what I think about it, and I have to be honest about it. And sometimes, man, I was listening to Terence Crawford and I was hoping, man, okay, let this be something, man, where I don't have to go in on Terence Crawford. But unfortunately, that didn't transpire. Now, let me tell you what he said. And I'm going to try my best to stick to the things that I think are very relevant. Okay. And then I'm going to talk about a couple things where just kind of my feeling as a man like you are, or human, if you're a woman, and the kind of feel I got off of watching Terence Crawford and how he actually looked when he was explaining this stuff. First and foremost, he's new information that comes out, as he says, that when he originally started talking about making the Errol Spence Jr. fight with Al Haymon, that Al Haymon had been talking to somebody and negotiating with somebody that said that they were representing Terence Crawford and had come up with some type of an agreement. But that person, according to Terence Crawford, did not really represent him. So Al Haymon started off negotiating with somebody that really was not on Terence Crawford's team. That is mind-boggling. That Al Haymon would sit down and negotiate with somebody that was not given a name that was not given to him by Terence Crawford or Terence Crawford's team. But so that is the first big thing that happens. There was a bunch of talks that were going on with Al Haymon and somebody that said he was representing Terence Crawford, but Terence Crawford says that guy was never on my team, right? That kind of lines up with what Errol Spence Jr. said about this guy not trusting his lawyer. So first and foremost, that is just a big wow. How does that happen? Did Terence Crawford never communicate to these people who was supposed to be representing him? So anyway, so that happened, which is just very, very odd, but that's what he said. And then he says that he approached Al Haymon about a $25 million offer that would have gotten, I think he said, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford both $25 million for a fight that was by a hedge fund and some people that he knew that had money for the fight. And Al Haymon was not open to the idea of that. and that he called Errol Spence Jr. on the phone and tried to sell the idea directly to Errol Spence Jr. But since Errol Spence Jr. was not his own boss, he could not make that decision for himself because he wasn't his own boss. And Terence made it sound as if Terence was the one that was directly negotiating this deal with Al Haymon. Okay, so let's stop there and just dissect that for a second. Errol Spence Jr. has an advisor named Al Haymon, and his job is to negotiate deals for him. Errol Spence Jr. is on Showtime and Fox pay-per-view, has been on Showtime and Fox pay-per-view for years. But Terence Crawford did not want initially to do business with Showtime or Fox. He wanted to bring in a third party to finance the fight with guaranteed money. Now, Al Haymon and Errol Spence said no. Now, why might they say that? Because maybe they don't want to exclude their business partners who they are already negotiating with to get fight dates on their network, who they already have a pay-per-view mechanism with, that are established people in the business community. And Errol Spence Jr. is the guy that has been consistently doing the numbers. And so it just seemed like Al Haymon told him, no, I don't want to sell the fight to a third party. Then Terence Crawford repeats some of the stuff that we'd heard before, that he was like, okay. And so Terence had accepted. He said that he accepted. He was never offered a guarantee, 35% or whatever it is of the back end. Now, this has now left Terence Crawford's mouth, right? However, Terence Crawford then says that he winds up leaving that negotiation to go fight with the company that is providing a bunch of upfront money. Now, if you remember what people have been saying from the beginning of this, that Bud Crawford's issue is going to be the upfront money. Man, all I can say about this is that that is just a very, 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 very interesting. That's just a very, very interesting conversation, man. And one that would have been helped if Bud did not look super nervous when he was saying it. And if he wasn't moving and shifting all over the place in all kind of different directions, his story contradicted itself. He goes in between talking about how Errol Spence Jr. is not his own boss, and how he didn't ask all these questions of Bob Arum because this is a good answer, that he got guaranteed money, so he didn't need to answer all that question because he got guaranteed money. But he also said he didn't answer those questions because he was signed, he wasn't his own boss. He was with a promoter. Look, man, I don't know about this fight ever happening, man. Like, I'm just going to be dead. I'm not going to tell you that Terence Crawford is not telling the truth. Terence Crawford says he gets no money. He got no money up front. 35% of the net, even though there are other reports that are coming out about it not being that. But in essence, sounds like Bud never wanted to fight with the PBC or with Showtime or Fox. He wanted to bring in outside investors to fund the fight. And when the outside investors would fund the fight, then Errol and he would fight wherever those outside investors wanted the fight shown. And that was something that was not going to be amenable to Al Haymon or Errol Spence Jr. or Showtime or Fox, who have contracts with the PBC, for the fighters that they have. It just seems like the whole thing was doomed from the very, very beginning. Another thing, just listening to what Terence Crawford is saying, Terence Crawford is negotiating this deal all by himself. You need somebody to negotiate these deals with you, to talk to Al Haymon about these deals, because Terence Crawford himself had never been involved in a deal like that. I know that there's going to be a lot of people. This is going to be a very, how can I say this? A very polarizing situation, and this conversation that he had is not going to move anybody one way or the other. I guarantee you there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are listening and looking at Terence Crawford in that interview and thinking, man, this guy is not telling the truth. He's too shifty. He's shifting around in his seat. He's cracking jokes when things ain't funny. He doesn't even remember BLK Prime's name. But at the end of it, man, it's just like, wow. That's all I could say, man. Like, wow, there's reasons why you just stay silent. Now, what I think of it is what I think of it, right? But like I said, man, I don't think this is going to shift anybody one way or the other. It's definitely not going to get anybody to buy that David Avancian fight. It just makes Terence Crawford look like he's just kind of Bush League, man. In my opinion, as far as Terence Crawford, people that are going to support Terence Crawford, they're going to continue to support him. They're going to take the bits and pieces that he says here where Al Haymon might have been unreasonable, to him. However, Al Haymon is not negotiating for him. Al Haymon is negotiating for Errol Spence Jr. And just the idea that they're going to shift, like you see what wound up happening when Terence Crawford walks away. Terence winds up walking away to an institution and an organization, a group of investors that are very questionable at best. But anyway, man, we'll chop it up on the live stream, man. I get called biased and pro Errol so often, man, and it really does kind of bug me a little bit. But at the end of the day, man, you guys got to tell the truth, man. Terence just, to my impression of it, was that Terence is just not a very astute business guy. And he's a great boxer, just not very astute business-wise. How in the world do you get somebody to represent you? Then you say that they're not even representing you. They're going back and forth in negotiations and talking about numbers, but the guy that Al Haymon is speaking to really doesn't represent you at all. I don't know about that. That makes it sound like what is more reasonable is that a guy was negotiating and you didn't like what he's doing and you may have fired him and then took over the negotiation yourself. But honestly, I don't have any proof to say whether that is the case or not. But it's just bizarre, man. The whole thing is bizarre. Anyway, we'll see as things go on, man. But I'm telling you right now, man, I don't see this fight with Errol Spence. Listening to that, I don't think Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford is ever going to happen. I just don't believe that Terence Crawford wants to give Errol Spence Jr.'s people any control whatsoever, and that he is going to maintain control no matter what happens on his side. And I mean, that's definitely his prerogative. As far as Errol Spence and what Errol Spence Jr.'s response is going to be, that's going to be really, really interesting. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.